everyone. Are you ready to party? Well, I hope you've had a productive day and you are ready to celebrate at least something. The fact that you're still here, the fact that you did not quit and give up. All right. Delores Jones, your comeback coach, is who I am. Now, that's my nickname, right? That's my nickname. Delores, what does that mean? I show you how to bounce back better, not bitter, through life experiences and bad decisions. But I also, you're ready for this? I also have an upcoming class webinar called A Life by Design. So if you know that you're done just going along and accepting any and everything, then I am going to begin to give you the tools, 5 tools for creating the life that you so desire versus the hand that you were dealt. You know, a lot of people say that and you'll be like, well, it's just fate. No, you don't have to accept that. So anyway, I wanted to hit you up real quick on a Friday. I love Denzel Washington. And I shared a quote of his. He said this, I quote, "You are going to suck at something, but keep going." Denzel Washington. Now, to hear that from Denzel Washington, one of the most revered, respected, and accomplished actors of our time, is like, what? Because if we're not careful, we just assume, hey, Dewana, we assume people just start out and they're one-hit wonders, and, you know, we never know that they're grinding all the time. And so at one point, Denzel Washington was in, did he go to Florida A&M? I'm trying to think what university he went to. But anyway, his grade point average was a 1.8. The Denzel Washington. He had changed his major several times. He started off as a pre-med major. Then he went into pre-law. He went into journalism. And because his grades just weren't cutting it, he said that the university asked him very kindly to take a break. And that was a good thing. So here he is. He takes a break. At this time, he's 20 years old. He says he is lost. He has no sense of direction. He has a 1.8 GPA. That means he is failing college. But he became a counselor at the Boys and Girls Club. He said one day he was at the beauty salon. His mom has a beauty salon. And there was this woman. And he said he's looking in the mirror. He's around helping his mother. And he's looking in the mirror. And he notices this black elder. Like, you know, an elder, a woman. And she's looking at him. He's like, she's staring at him. And she's making these faces. And he's wondering, what's wrong? And then she finally says, somebody give me a piece of paper. Give me a piece of paper. So she began to tell him something. This was March, did he say 27th of 1975. He still has this piece of paper. It's over 40 years ago. And she said, young man, you're going to travel the world and you're going to speak before a lot of people. That's back when he was 20 years old. He had a 1.8 GPA. And he just felt like, I don't know what else to do. But he was a counselor. So she gave him that paper. He still has that paper. Now here's what's interesting. I'm sure we've all had people speak into our lives before. I know I have. And we hear it, but then we try to figure out how God's going to do it. She didn't tell him how it's going to happen. She just told him, she said, young man, I'm giving you a prophetic word. You're going to travel the world and you're going to speak before millions of people. So here he is, 20 years old, 1.8 GPA. A lot of people are like, forget it. He said he was going to go to the Army. You know, he was going to find something else to do. But during that summer, he became a counselor. Sometimes when you're going through something, it's best to like put yourself in a position to help other people, because what you have is needed. Now, whether or not you're in a place where people accept it or appreciate it, that's a whole nother story. But you have something to offer. So he says, while he is the counselor with the, what's the name of this place? Bella. Hold on, Bella. I got to do this video, baby. Hold on. It's too loud out there. While he is the counselor for the Boys and Girls Club, they put on a talent show. So one of his talents, he started acting. So one of his colleagues said, co-workers said, hey, have you thought about acting? You're really, really good at that. So when he returned back to college, he decided to become an acting major. So now that was his 4th time changing his degree with a 1.8 GPA. But he finally found his niche, which was acting. He had this note from this prophetic woman of God that he was going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Well, eventually, you know, he got into acting. He started in Broadway, and he said so he took his first audition was for some Broadway play, and they needed a singer. And so he says the guy before him starts singing opera, right? And he says he gets out there and his song is just my imagination running away with me. He says, so he hands the pianist his sheet music, and she looks up at him like to say, are you serious? So he says, she starts playing, and he's soft. He's like, just my imagination. He said, and they're not saying anything, so he thinks they're really taking it in. He's like, running away with me. So they let him finish the song, and he didn't get the part. So they called him back and said, okay, we want you to try to act as this man is singing. So they paired him up with the opera singer. And he had no clue what he was supposed to do. Because y'all know when you go to those operas, they start singing their lines. And Denzel said, he says, so sir, what will you do? He says, what will I do? He says, he looks at him and he's like, what is our next step? What is our next step? He says, so he bombs this audition. He does not get the part. But he doesn't give up, because the old man told him, he said, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, eventually you'll get a haircut. In other words, you need to be in the place of what it is you know will happen for you. So he continues on, and you all know he kept going and kept going and kept going. And then finally, he was cast for a play, and the play was called Fences. And here's the thing. 30 years prior to him being cast for that play, Fences, it was the same place where he bombed. So when he did Fences, someone wrote a review about his acting, and then poof, there he was. But remember, it was 30 years after his first failed attempt. So he says, you're going to suck at something. In other words, Denzel Washington says he sucks at singing, but acting is his thing. He tried his hand at pre-med. He said he couldn't even pronounce the names of the classes, so that was not a good fit. Then he thought pre-law, then he said, oh, heck no. He had a 1.8 GPA. Then he tried his hand at journalism, and I thought, okay. He said, no, that ain't it for me. Now, for some of us would have said, I'm just not cut out for school. Okay, that's on you. But here he is now, considered one of the greatest of all times. He got an Oscar. I mean, no one can touch the Denzel Washington. It's like Denzel Washington is Denzel Washington, like Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, like Kobe Bryant is Kobe Bryant. And what we have to remember, although we see the glitz and the glitter, all of that, we need to look at their grind. You know, one of the things about success is you are going to bomb at some things, and you're going to fail. But you'll never fail if you never try. And that's what makes the success so much sweeter, is when you know you have bombed. Now, I have my story. I graduated from the University of Missouri School of Journalism, Mizzou. And so when I got there, my junior year, they were having auditions for the dance team. And I was like, I'm Delores Jones. I got this. So I found out about the auditions the night before the auditions. I hit up one of my friends, and I said, hey, you got to put me a routine together. So he puts my routine together. I'm practicing this routine for like hours. Well, I ended up pulling my hamstring. But the next morning I showed up for this audition. Now, the audition, you had to have certain kicks. You had to have certain skills to be one of the dancers. So, y'all, I'm ready. I'm ready, Scott. I'm ready, Phil. I'm ready, Leslie. And they start my music. And right after the first beat, the first move, I forgot the entire routine. Do you think I stood there? Nah, I got to kicking up. I was back in that thing. I was doing it. And what was funny, I was the only black woman auditioning. And so all of the other young white girls were looking like, oh my God, right? And they let me finish. They let me finish. And I mean, I got the kicking. And I was so confident that I was like, I know they're going to put my name on that list. I know they are. So I went to look for my name on the list, and my name was not on the list. I didn't make it. But that didn't mean I couldn't dance. It's just I forgot in the midst of this routine. And I thought, oh, Well, at least I tried. So now I have that story to say I wanted to be a dancer at Mizzou. I wanted to be on the dance team at Mizzou. I mean, I had to figure it out. But I ended up going on and getting my degree and being a commencement speaker. See, during our graduation, I was an inspirational speaker. I was so bold after going through so much hell that I said to the people, I said, shut up, Scott. He's my Lord. I said, you know, these people need inspiration. And he says, well, we've never had one of those. And so I auditioned, and they're like, okay, you're the girl. You're it. So I made history in my own way, but I thought I was about to break it down. Anyway, me dancing like this wasn't gonna work. So you're gonna suck at something. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. You will have a story. It might not be a success story, but it will be a story of tenacity. I look back on that. I'll be 50 in November. I'm gonna stop saying that, but it really means something to me that I'll be 50 in November, because I buried my mother when she was 21 years old and I was 5. And so I've come a long way, baby. And there are times that we can be so gifted in so many different areas, but we hit that wall, boom, one time, and we just like, that's it, forget it. Now, I will tell you this, Scott. No, I didn't make the drill team, the college. But I was a hell of a dancer at Schlegel College. At FL Schlegel High School, you couldn't touch me. Control. You couldn't do that. But high school, that was it. I had to stop it. Now I'm into two-stepping. Anyway, you're going to suck at something. I want you to recognize what it is you suck at. And be okay with it. But keep trying. Because practice doesn't make perfect. It makes improvement. And if that's something you really want, fine. But remember, we're all wired a different way. We all have something special. Like Phil Dixon is on here. He gave me my very first job in radio here in Kansas City. But did you all know he's a history buff? He is a baseball history buff. Now looking at him, I wouldn't have thought that, because he first started managing a radio station. And because of him, it opened the door for me. And then I took off, right? But there have been times where I'm just like, forget it. Whatever. Like, I tried track. I want you to just write down some of the things you tried, and then I want you to find a funny story. In high school, Schlegel, I was on the track team. I refused to do hurdles. You got long legs. I know, but I'm not doing the hurdles. So they said, you got long legs, so we're going to put you on. What is that, Scott, when you run around the lap one time? See, I don't even know the lingo. I was just doing it to lose weight. So it was my turn to race. And then they're like, on your mark, get set. I took off running. All of a sudden, I'm coming around the bend, and I start having a problem breathing. So I run completely off the track into the grass and lay down. It was during the race. Oh, yes, it was. And I heard my classmates saying, get up, Delores. Get up, Delores. And I'm like, I'm not getting up for nothing. So the coach comes up and he's like, Delores, you have to finish the race. And I was like, what? He said, you still got to finish the race. And as he was saying this to me, the clock was still ticking. So I was still going to have to finish the race. So I think what could have taken me 5 minutes took me like 15 minutes to finish the race. But at the end of the day, I finished the race and I realized track is not my thing. So I thought, I'm going to go out for basketball. I did 1 year at Washington High School in the 9th grade. And because I was tall and had long legs, they said, put her on the basketball team. Honey, I had earrings on during my first game. I got a tech. I mean, I was a girly. Although I thought, hey, I can do this basketball thing and lose weight. So here I am. They put me as a center. Now, the major center, I was there to back her up. And when they first put me out there, the pressure of these girls running towards me for the basketball, I was mid-court. I kid y'all not. I was mid-court, Mr. P. And I took that ball because I knew they were coming for me for that ball. And I threw the ball from mid-court, and it hit the backboard. And the backboard said, boom, 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 boom. So the coach looks at me, he points at me, and he's like, sit down. And I'm thinking, what? They're not going to roll me over. Well, that was a part of the game. I wasn't made for that. So the main center got hurt, and he looked at me like, oh, my God, we got to put her back in. So they put us back in. Of course, we lost. I wasn't good, okay? So during practice, he was going to run us. He's like, start running. And I'm like, why is he hollering? I mean, he don't take all that. So he says run, and I'm like, I got asthma. So next thing you know, I'm walking to the line, and he runs up behind me. Why aren't you running? I said, you can't talk to me like that. I'm going to tell my mama. So I quit the team. it wasn't for me. But I tried it. What have you tried that you know you suck at? And what are you afraid to try that you are great at? Now, sometimes if you're not even willing to try, you will never discover what you're good at. Ever. You just won't. So you can hope and a wish and a pray and a hop and a huff and a puff and blow your house down. But until you try, baby, listen, you got to do something. Denzel Washington said, you will suck at something, but keep going. If you sucked at marriage like I did, twice, have 2 husbands, keep going. I did a video yesterday talking about the gift of divorce. Some people say, that ain't no gift, Delores. It depends on how you choose to see it. I'm no longer with someone I wasn't supposed to be with. I'm not going through hell trying to impress anybody. And I know the truth. And the truth shall make you free, okay? Plus, I now can stand in my own truth and be comfortable if I'm with someone or if I'm not with someone. And that is true freedom. What is true freedom? Understanding that you're not going to be perfect, but you are somebody. And we need what you have. Now, my cousin is on here, Angie. Hey, Angie. I got to tell y'all this story. So, Angie always wanted to be a makeup artist. And I am older than her oldest sister, Vaughn, who passed away. Lord rest her soul. And so, Angie really looked up to her older sister, and Clate. And one day, Angie was telling me, she's like, Dee, I really want to be a makeup artist. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. You know, she wasn't into the cliques and all that. She was an individual person. And she had her own challenges like everybody else. And all of a sudden, I started seeing Angie buying makeup. Now, Angie, you would agree, when you first started, you didn't know what you were doing. But she never stopped. And then she started getting with people who knew how to do makeup. Next thing you know, she began to sell makeup. And now she is one of the top makeup artists. Now, it took her maybe how many years, Angie? Was it like 10 years? But the thing was, no matter what anybody said, Angie refused to quit. She refused to quit. And now she's so bold that she will put her pictures on Facebook with new lipsticks. And I'll be like, what lipstick is that? Oh, my goodness. Now, what would have happened if my cousin Angie had said, Dee, they were laughing at me. They were talking about me. I'm not going to do this. Then we wouldn't have the benefit of learning from her. 10 years. It took her 10 years. We all suck at something. But just because you start off sucking doesn't mean, maybe I should say, okay, just because you start off failing doesn't mean you can't improve. And if it's something you really, I heard a part of this poem, it says, if you want something bad enough that you're willing to fight for it, to work day and night for it, to lose all your fear and terror of the opposition for it. If all you hope and dream is about it, and your life seems useless without it, if cold or famine cannot deter you, I'm trying to remember the rest of it. I'm going to have to keep practicing that one. Y'all get the picture, okay? He says, by the hope of God, you will get it. If you beseech and not fret it, with the hope of God, you will get it. Okay, so we all have something we're working on. So don't just throw it away because you didn't get it the first time or the second time. Or in the case with Denzel Washington, his first audition, he bombed it. And then 30 years later, he went to that same theater and he gave a performance of a lifetime. And now, the prophecy that he received over 42 years ago now, where the woman of God at his mother's barbershop or beauty shop told him, give me a paper. She wrote it down. And that's why it's so important. Hey, Tempo, it's so important when you know that God is speaking. Okay? Because you know when somebody just talking crazy. But a mentor of mine told me, like, Delores, if you're in the house of God and you know the Spirit is flowing and you know the gifts are flowing, if somebody calls you out, you need to record that stuff. And I start recording it. Because I need to go back. Because God's word talks about bringing his word to him. And sometimes it's important to hear it over and over again because you are going to get discouraged. You're going to get discouraged. You're going to fall flat on your face. But if God said it, that settles it. I have a thought, and I said, it's not over until you say so and God agrees. I said, what? Because see, a lot of us have wanted to check out of here. Like, God, I'm done. Some people have attempted suicide. In fact, people die every 40 seconds of suicide. And if you tried it, you're still here. So God didn't agree. And not to say, because God knows the beginning date and the end date. And they say there's a day you were born and the day you pass away. It's that little dash in the middle that's most important. Because we're going to come and we're going to go. I don't care who you are. You could be Batman, Wonder Woman. Superman even had kryptonite. But 42 years later, Denzel Washington has traveled the world. But the first way he started traveling the world was through his movies. Through his movies. What y'all think about that? What is it that you need to try again? What is it that you need? Somebody's crying. Why are you crying? What is it you need to try again? Huh? Hey, Faith. Les Brown said it this way. He said, imagine you're in your deathbed. And surrounding you are the ghosts of the talents you never shared, of the gifts you never gave, of the cures that you could have came up with. And they look at you and say, we came to you, but now we have to die with you. That's why these distractions are so crazy, because you got things to do. And I'll be doggone if I'm gonna let somebody sit in my face and distract me from my destiny. And y'all already know the biggest thing, even in a book called Understanding the Framework of Poverty, the key to out of poverty is a relationship. You can be poor in spirit and financially poor. The 5 closest people to you, you make so many thousands of dollars in that same realm. So if everybody, y'all sitting on the corner popping popcorn, or no, popping gum and talking about gossip, who was wearing what, and who's pregnant, and who got divorced, and what so-and-so's baby look like, all this other foolishness. Now, I know you need to take a break, and maybe you want to be entertained, but entertaining you is not the same thing as empowering you. Where's my money so I can make it rain in here on myself? Don't just entertain me. What was that? Okay. Empower me, honey. I'm not here to entertain you. I am here to help empower you. So that the next time, this time next year, you're not still sitting there talking about, I was gonna. Reasons don't give you results. Nope. Nope. Either you want it or you don't. We talked about commitment. The reason some people are fearful of commitment. For one, some people feel they're going to fail. That's why Denzel Washington said, you're going to suck at something. And he also said, in everything, give God thanks. He said, put God first in everything. Here is a man whom we have seen from all over the world. Now he's traveled the world, literally, Africa, everywhere. And he is telling you the secret to his success. Now, only a fool would be like, I don't believe him. A fool. You know what I mean? Because he has a proven track record. And you still trying to look for somebody else. Success leaves clues. But if you don't follow the clues, who you gonna blame? I don't believe that. I don't believe what Delores is talking about. It don't take all that. Well, it took all that for me. Oh, girl, everybody gonna be talking about me. Girl, they gonna talk about you anyway. I don't care. Like Maya Angelou said, why are you beset with gloom? Because I dance like I got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like stars with the certainty of tide. Just like air, I rise. She said, did you want to see me broken, bowed head, lowered eyes, shoulders falling like teardrops, weakened from my soulful cries? She said, you can cut me with your words. You can shoot me with your lies. You can hate me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I rise. Come through, somebody. Okay? She left clues. and still I rise. Y'all know cream comes to the top, honey. What you made of? Are you fluff? Or are you going to come to the top? See, I'm down for the underdog. That's why I'm called the comeback coach. For some people, they got it easy, but I don't know about you. I feel like Langston Hughes. He said nothing. Listen, you will not have anything that we fight for. Anything, he said, you won't get everything you fight for, but what you do have, you did. What he said, what you fought for, you did get. Anyway, y'all know, go find it. Langston Hughes. Life for me ain't been no crystal staircase. Okay? Hey, Xavier. I'm just feeling happy right now. You got to keep yourself pumped up and alive. Maybe it took you 10 hours to get up like I did today. I mean, I was still at home, but I rose this morning. Took my shower and laid back down. But when it was time to make the donuts, I had to go. And what helped me get up this morning was Denzel Washington talking to students, telling his testimony over and over again. The same testimony in a different way. I was like, why did he come to my graduation? Then Michelle Obama, she just got her doctorate degree and made history again as the most educated first lady of the United States of America ever. They talked about her like a dog. What you gonna go try again? Go try it again. You know how babies start walking? You gotta crawl before you walk. How many of y'all got children? Okay, I have one. And then I got nieces and nephews. And you know when they couldn't walk and you be standing them up and they get to wobbling and wobbling. And you be like, oh, look at her. Oh, look at her. And the baby kind of like starts slobbering and they look at you. And then they take their focus off, right? And they plop down on the ground. And you're like, oops, a daisy. We come up with all these crazy sounds. But we don't say, look at you. You can't stand up on your own. Take your little wobbly big leg self somewhere and sit in a corner. No, you help the baby back up. You say, that's okay, baby girl. That's okay. And then if they start crying, you go, oh, don't cry. It's okay. Don't cry. It's going to be okay. And the baby start looking at you. Mm-hmm. And then the baby has the confidence to try it again. And this time they stand a little longer and then they pop down again. But because they know you're there, they look at you in your eyes as to say, what we gonna do next? And then you let them hold on to your fingers. See, for some of us, certain areas of our talents is like learning to walk. When my son walked before his birthday, the day before, I was like, honey, get the camera. And I still have those videos. I was like, oh, baby boy, come to mommy. Come to mommy. You can do it. You can do it. Ricky, you can do it. That's right. He'd get down. He would get back up. And I would say, okay, come a little closer this time. And then finally, he came to my arms and I lifted him up and I was swinging him around. And I was excited because he was learning to walk. Then he learned how to hold on to stuff. And then we had to lock up stuff because he knew how to walk up to stuff and open the doors. That's an accomplishment. Now, the next time you feel like a failure, if you didn't try anything, you wouldn't know if you were good at it or not. But I want you to remember the story of the baby learning to walk. But they had to crawl. And some of them would just start flopping on their stomach. I was like, what are they doing? She's trying to fly. She's trying to flop, baby. And you know what? Babies know no limitations until we put it on them. Do you know about that? You let a baby go. A baby be like, hey, what's up? What's up? What we about to do? I see fire. I'm about to put my hand in the fire. They're very, very, curious. But then we try to protect them. And then some people go too far. Don't hit that. And hit them on the hand. And they look at you with an attitude like, what you talking about? So then they'll try it again. And then you hit them again. They're like, I ain't even feeling that. I don't like that, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Then eventually learn how to steal cookies from the cookie jar. Am I talking to real people? All right. You are going to fail at something. Suck at it. You're going to suck. I have sucked at many things. But you do know I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking to people, right? Okay. Listen. You give me a microphone, it's on. I'll rip that microphone out the wall. They be like, who is that girl? Like the time I spoke at Derek Thomas's funeral. I wasn't even on the program. But I was the altar worker who prayed for him and led him to Christ that day. And the girlfriend of his at the time came back from LA. She's like, can you please help me understand this? Because she ended up getting baptized. And I was working at the radio station the night of his accident. And they called me and told me, you got to go on air and tell people that Derek Thomas was in a horrible accident and that the passenger immediately died. Found out that passenger was a friend of mine, Michelle Tellis' father. But he also got baptized the same day that Derek Thomas did. And the girls sitting there and they're looking at me, and all these football players are there. Derek Thomas, not Derek Thomas, but Neil Smith, everybody you could think of, Carl Peterson, the owners from the NBA, all that NFL people, okay? And she said, are you going to go up there? I was like, oh, Jesus, I'm not going up there. But that was my gift. I said, Lord, if I get up in this pulpit and they don't stop me, I'm going to say what you want me to say. And that's exactly what I did. And after I got I finished talking, Carl Peterson's wife came up to me. She said, I don't know who you are, but you are going to speak before a lot of people. And you're gonna bless a lot of people. She didn't know me. She heard me speak for all of 4 minutes at his funeral. That's just how it is. So don't let what you suck at stop you. So what? Laugh at yourself. And then come and share the story. Share it with your children. Share it with somebody else who needs to learn how to, crawl before their walk. You didn't wake up and go, ta-da! In fact, when you came out your mama's womb, we was ugly. We had all that afterbirth on us, smack you on your butt. Listen, in the movies, them babies really is supposed to be ugly, okay? But somebody had to take care of you and wipe you off and get your hair right, show you how to, get it together. Sean. Marlene. Hi. All right, Jasmine, I got to go. But you all have a good Friday. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Delores Jones TV. Click, tag, share. Hit that notification button on YouTube so that you'll know when I'm going live. You just never know what you're going to get when you with Miss T. But one of the things is I aim to set you free. Where is my money again? I got to make that rain again. Okay? Okay, bye, y'all. Appreciate you. Mwah.